7-year-old Mila Farokhmanesh experiences the world with a unique combination of autism and ADHD, something her family has learned not to just understand, but to celebrate. Now, CSU men's basketball coach Ollie Farokhmanesh and his wife Mallory are turning their experience into a powerful message of awareness and inclusion. This weekend's neurodiversity inclusion game is the start of something bigger, and today we get to meet the girl who inspired it. Let's go back to the beginning. What were some of the first moments that you realized that Mila sees the world differently, and what was that like for you guys?
When she was born, they put her in the bath right away, and most babies react to the water instantly and usually start crying or whatnot, and she had no reaction.
The nurse said that she's been doing this for like 12 years, and Mila was the first baby that never cried or never like kind of made a sound.
Yeah. So
we were like, oh, like she loves this, you know, yeah. But looking back through the lens of like knowing what autism is, you know, we look at it different now and we're like, oh, that was our first sign.
And Mallory, you were a nurse. Did that like spark any second thoughts for you? Or like you said, were you just like, oh, like she's doing good, she's happy?
Yeah, so immediately I was thinking, okay, maybe like this is recreating like what the womb was like for her. And so that was giving her like comfort. And so I was not necessarily thinking of it in a medical way, but just maybe like her environment and kind of understanding what she's comfortable with.
And so then moving on, as Mila got a little bit older, what were some of the signs that you noticed as she got older, and how did you get to the diagnostic point?
One thing for me, I remember around, I think it's 6 weeks, babies start smiling. And it wasn't until about 8 weeks that she started smiling, and it took a lot to get her to smile. It took a lot of like tickling and a lot of intervention. And so that was kind of just on my radar that it was different from our first baby, Ty. Mm-hmm. But again, you know, nothing that really was concerning.
I think the verbal note is really interesting, that she was so verbal, and we talked a little bit about this, about kind of Mila's superpowers or her strengths, and one of those was that she's become a really good reader and that she is very verbal and compassionate and those sort of things. Can you talk us through some of the strengths that come with this and then some of the things that she struggles with?
I think one thing that was really interesting, I guess, when we were finding out that she was hyperverbal was the way that she spoke was different. It was almost like she had the ability to describe what she was seeing in the world and what she was experiencing in the world, but what she missed was the connection piece. So she was never really saying like, Dad, how's your day? Or Dad, what's your favorite color? It was a very like one-sided conversation. And so what we were seeing was that she was able to walk up to people, start a conversation with them and friends at the playground, but she was never able to maintain that friendship and that connection because she wasn't really investing in the other person. And that's one thing that we found out was when she was diagnosed, was that her pragmatic language skills, so that ability to have that back and forth conversation, she was in the 10th percentile.
Her creativity is off the charts in terms of like how she can create things from nothing and find materials and make them into something that you wouldn't even think about. And I think it's fun to see her mind working differently and how she can create things. And it's super interesting that she, like Mal said, she can view the world in very black and white circumstances and how things are what they are, but then also has this creative mind that she can create things from nothing. And I think it's super unique that you can see it one way, very black and white, but then also have this mind that can see so far outside the box that it surprises us sometimes.
She puts her sparkle on everything.
That's a good way to say it.
I love that. Something that you guys have said is that you never want to make her diagnostic a secret. How did those early conversations with Mila go, and how do you think that's helped her in the long run?
I think taking pride in it, and I think Mal giving her the confidence to take pride in that, and I don't even think own your identity, because I think that we teach that to all our kids no matter what. But I think it was with Mila specifically, it was taking pride in who she is and what she's about. And yeah, I might see things differently than you do too, but that's most people from whatever experiences they are. Hers just comes from her diagnosis and whatnot. And I think that's what's cool with her, is that she owns who she is, she owns her identity, she speaks about it freely and openly, and it's just who she is. And I think that's made us also see see the world differently too, and see people for where they are and where they're at right now.
Yeah, that was one thing that we discussed in length, is like, how do we want to proceed? Because, you know, she was 4 at the time, and so really she couldn't give consent to, I want to tell the world about this. But we thought it was really important that she knows herself. And the more, you know, when we would see a situation where she was maybe seeing something different, we would say, oh my gosh, like, how cool is this, Mila? You know, we would just like try to like speak life into her abilities, or, you know,
speak greatness into who she is.
Mm-hmm. And I think there's also a lot of power in knowing yourself and understanding yourself, and her ability to understand and know herself has led for her to be able to advocate for herself, advocate in her friendships. One thing that she'll do is she'll tell her friends, like, just so you know, if I'm not looking at you, or if I'm messing with something, I'm still listening. Or some days when she is really overstimulated, she'll tell her friends, I'm gonna listen, but I'm not gonna respond to you, but I am listening to you. And I think without her knowing herself, she wouldn't be able to tell her friends that, and that would lead to more social isolation for her. So I just think, you know, there's huge power in knowing yourself and being proud of yourself.
Yeah, I love that perspective, and I'm sure that's given her such great confidence. I think it would for any kid. And you have some boys. What has it been like navigating this with your boys and raising them as well?
You know, it's hard because there's a balance, because we have our family rules, and no matter what diagnosis you have, everybody has to abide by the family rules. The way that we have to interpret those rules, though, for each kid is very different. And I know that can be a struggle for the boys. Sometimes they may feel that we're being more lenient on Mila.
But I think it also helps the boys understand too. And it also helps Mila understand, though, also that, like, all 4 of them are different. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest thing, whatever anybody is, however they identify, it's just everyone's different, and we all have the same standards, we have the same rules within our
Different
family.
points of view.
But it's how we go about teaching them, and how we have to understand not only us, but them slowly starting to understand each other. And that's hard to do when you're 6 and 7 and 8 years old and going through that. But those are lessons that I think if they learn at this age, they're gonna be able to carry on for the rest of their lives.
I was gonna say, have you seen the way that the boys interact with like their friends at school or like stuff like that differently because of the way that you guys have raised them to help support Mila as well?
Yes, something I'm super, super proud of Ty especially. He advocates for kids with special needs in his school, and last year they chose him to represent one of his friends at the Special Olympics, and it's created just more empathetic kids. We're super proud of them, and just super proud of how they accept Mila, and they don't want her to change, and they embrace her, and then that's, you know, led to understanding and empathy for other kids.
That makes me emotional, you know. Has this experience with Mila and just like raising children in general, has it affected the coach that you are?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's meeting people where they're at. And then also understanding that same thing, right? We have standards and we have rules within our family that everyone has to abide by no matter what. But how you go about that with each person is so much different, and how I have to coach each one of our players is so much different. What one person needs versus what somebody else needs. They have the same rules, we have to all do the same type of things, but how I go about teaching them and then how I go about talking to them is extremely different. And I think that's the best thing about having kids, is parenting and coaching are the exact same thing. It's just I'm doing it with 18 to 22-year-olds versus 6 to 7-year-olds, and I don't know which one's harder sometimes.
I feel like also too, it's led you to be a lot more curious. Like you'll come home and say, hey, so-and-so is, you know, not practicing well, and he seems a lot more down, and it's just led you to start thinking more outside the box, and like not just like X's and O's, like demand better from them. You're like, what's going on with them? You know, is something going on in their home life? You know, is everything okay? Like I've noticed a change in you, and it's just made you just even better of a coach.
I appreciate that. No, it is true. I think that's because of what she did. She's the one that was curious about everything, and I think she always had this thing on her phone that always said, like, lead with curiosity and don't be judgmental. And I think that's the biggest thing is like, and I think that's carried on to coaching and life though, is like, just be more curious about stuff and try to learn and try to figure out what it is as opposed to just judging for what you see. And I think that is basically what this is about, is like being more curious and don't ask more questions than looking for answers.
I think that's the great part of this game that you guys have started organizing too, is it's bringing up conversations like these and it's making people outside of your bubble curious. Can you talk me through when you guys started talking about doing something like this and how the vision has evolved?
I remember talking one night, it was like shortly after she was diagnosed. And I remember sitting there thinking, like, this is why we're gonna have a platform someday. Like, this is what we were meant to do. The goal is we want to make a kinder, more welcoming and inclusive world for our daughter. And I think it is so cool. Like, you've worked so hard to get where you're at, and we have this platform now that we can do this.
That's funny. Yeah, we literally talked about it probably 6-7 years ago, and we didn't know about what it was going to be, but Mal's got such a helping heart that I think that it always was going to be a possibility to do something. And then with the diagnosis for Mila and seeing that, and then also I think going through the process of not knowing what we didn't know, and then trying to find resources and trying to find a community base. And then once Mal kind of discovered those things and realized, like, there are these resources, there are these people out there, there is a bigger community. It was just that people didn't know how to get to those things. And so linking the two, I think that's what this is about, is linking the two together and giving people more hope, and also letting people know that, like, yeah, you might not know what you don't know either, but there are people that can help you get there.
How comforting for people too to come and like see you guys like lending these resources, but also being like, I've been there, I've been in your shoes, and like you said, having someone to relate to no matter what you're going through. I think that's so special, and it's cool that you guys are doing that for the community. I wanted to ask you some of the features that will be at this game, and I know you've talked a little bit about when Mila comes to the games with you, like the things that she struggles with, and I think when we were talking about it in a meeting, I was like, oh my gosh, Mallory has thought about everything for this game. So I want to hear a little bit about it.
Yes, this has been so fun because it's unlike anything I've ever done before. I kind of got the push from Landry Moffat. She's our director of operations, and she was like, hey, we're gonna do this. Like, we're doing it. And I'm like, okay. And the first organization that I thought of was Foothills Gateway. And so I looked up who were the leaders there, and I was like, can we Zoom and talk about this? And I was so nervous for the Zoom. But met with them, it went so well, and they were like, absolutely, they were so on board. And I'm like, okay, can do this. So we got more organizations. Special Olympics Colorado is going to be there. The Arc of Larimer County is going to be there. And then, like you said, so Mila does struggle with some things at games, which is why she doesn't come to a lot. The bright lights, the loud sounds, it can be very overstimulating. And so we're going to have a sensory room for any individual who just needs a little break. There'll be fidgets, just lots of just an area to decompress. And we are gonna have
the resources around.
Yep, so there's all of those companies that I said, they're gonna have resource tables up around the concourse. There's gonna be artwork from kids across the community who actually, Shelly Durkin, she's the mom who I met at the playground. She is an art teacher in the community, and so she got a ton of her students to make artwork, yeah, it's gonna be fun.
What are some of the biggest takeaways or thoughts that you want people to walk away from the game with?
Kind of what Ollie was saying earlier, just like be curious, not judgmental. Everyone is going through something, whether you're neurodivergent or not. Everyone is struggling with something, and just give people grace.
There's a bigger purpose to all this at the end of the day, and I think that's what's so unique is through Mila's diagnosis, and then being at Colorado State, and then knowing about Temple Grandin's story, I think it all just interlocks, and I think that's what's special about this, and that's why it's why we believe in doing this, and that's why I think this game came to fruition, is all those interlocking things, and obviously Temple and having her influence and what she's done in that community. It all just connects, and I think that's what's special about it.
I remember one of the first conversations that we had with Mila when we explained to her that she was autistic. She didn't quite understand it at first, but I brought up a list of like the most famous autistic people, and Temple Grandin was on that list. And the fact
that was
the
first time we started like realizing like where we were. And, yeah.
The fact that she's going to be at the game, and because she's been a big part of our story. I mean, we have one of the first books that I bought Mila was Temple Grandin's children's book. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited to meet. It's been my dream to meet her, and it's finally happening. So,
I really do feel like you were meant to be a basketball coach. You were meant to be a mom, and this is your guys' purpose, and it's really cool to see. Mila, if you wanted to tell something about yourself to somebody, what would you say?
I'm autistic.
What does that mean to you? What does that feel like?
It makes me feel happy, and it's just like I really liked my friends to know that, because some of my friends aren't autistic, some of my friends are.
So some of those friends don't maybe understand what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that you tell your non-autistic friends, or your friends who are not autistic? What are some of the things you like to tell them?
I like to tell them that I'm autistic, and I might not do this, or I might not do that, and I might do this, and I might not do that.
Mila, do you think talking to your friends about some of these things helps them understand you better? Yeah. If you guys were going to show me kind of some of those strengths and some of the things that you're working on, how would you show me?
So imagine you see a forest picture, and so you know some other brains might not see the little details in that picture. Like the neurotypical people would just see trees. Like, oh, wow, that's a lot of trees. But me as autistic and
neurodivergent. What are you focusing on in the picture?
I'm maybe focusing on there's a bird over by that tree, with a little yellow leaf.
Rather than looking at the whole big picture of things, Mila's able to really zoom in and highlight intricate details of things. So I would say one of your biggest strengths is you find the beauty in absolutely everything. You find those little tiny details that maybe other people miss.
Mila, when you're at the basketball games, what are some of the things that maybe overwhelm you, or?
The loud noises.
Yeah.
What does it make you feel like inside your body when you hear that buzzer? Does it feel, it makes you want to just hide.
And what are some of the ways that you deal with that? I know we talked about stimming and maybe hugging mom. What makes you feel better?
Hugging mommy and putting my headphones on.
The headphones help a lot, right? Thank you.
Are you excited for the game coming up on Sunday for some fun stuff?
Did you know that you get to deliver the game ball? Are you excited? Did you also know that Katie Wimp, who is our equipment manager, she made bracelets for everybody, and guess what color they are? They're your favorite color.
Pink and blue?
Cyan. They're cyan colors. And you get to hand out all of those bracelets to all the players. Oh, we can teach everyone, how do we do our rainbow breath? Show me.
I really like that. I think I'm going to start doing that before I interview your dad at halftime.
It's a great idea.